What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? They don't listen to what you say and respond accordingly. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. I know people that don't even wait for me to stop. Now imagine those people being your best buds. I've seen a lot of answers along the lines of when they say negative things about others. Which I agree with, by the way. But for me, a huge red flag is when someone can't let someone else receive praise or be the center of attention. I've met people in the past who have shown small signs of jealousy when I've praised mutual friends, siblings, strangers, etc. And in each case it was indicative of bigger jealousy and self-esteem issues that led to some messed up stuff. The absolute worst is people trying to one-up another person's suffering. It's one thing to listen and say, I have a similar experience, this is what it is, so I can relate to what you're going through, but it's entirely another when it's, oh, you sprained your ankle. I broke mine in 3 places and was on crutches for months. What you're going through is nowhere near as bad. Never, ever dismiss someone else's pain because you think you've been through worse. Edit. First silver. First any badge. Thank you, kind stranger. Edit 2. Can't believe I got gold for a rant. I call this the Misery Olympics. I tell people that there's no need to compete in the Misery Olympics and we can all be miserable together, lol. Belittling they're so in front of people, but insisting it's a joke every time. Sadly, in this situation I used to be the belittled, so I briefly had a friend like this. We all went out for drinks one night, and she relentlessly castrated her fiancé while he just sat there like a kicked dog. Meanwhile, she outed my gay buddy to people we didn't even know that well. She thought the whole scene was just hysterical. Toxic bitch right there. Sounds like my ex-friend. Was she also an expert gaslighter who could tell awful lies about you in front of you, without batting an eye and smirking? Somehow always the victim when you call her out on her shit. Subtle signs that they aren't remotely interested in you. And the only way you two are together is maybe because an obligation, favor. People change their tune often when they have to conceal their feelings of disdain for someone. What kind of signs would you list as examples? On their phone a lot. Ignoring what you say. Pretending to be busy with something else. Personally, it's pretty obvious when people are just faking being busy. When you barely know them and they act like your best friend, then later ask to borrow money. Yikes. How to tell a was a leecher in minutes. I had a friend like that. He was in his early 20s but seemed an alright guy. One day, out of the blue, he tells me, dude, I really need to move out of my parents' house. But I don't have any money. I need about $300. I just stood there for a second and then said, dude, I don't just have that kind of money. His response was, I know. But I also know you have other friends who do. Can you ask them for me? I ended the conversation and stopped talking with him from then on. We weren't even friends for very long. But I didn't need someone in my life constantly asking for money like that. Everyone here talking about slightly negative people, but I've asked for the biggest red flag, so I'm gonna go with having a swastika scar on their forehead. Nazi, what you going to do when the war's over? Are you going to take off that uniform? When they're judgmental and critical of others, but never of themselves. You know my father. Yay. I seen him at the store buying milk a few years ago. When they only talk about themselves. I hate that. They should be talking about me. So, tell me about myself. They don't really listen to you or pay attention to what you're talking about, but expect you to be totally engaged with whatever they say and act put out if you aren't. Ah, the distracting noise coming out of that other person's mouth stopped. Finally, it's my chance to talk about me. Quote. Yay, it's like they are not listening at all but just have an algorithm running that looks for key words in your story that they can relate to one of their stories. If they can't take no for an answer. Yeah, I met someone. Strictly platonic. recently who immediately got defensive when I said I couldn't take time away from my business at that time to do something social with the monsieur. They threatened to show up at my house and asked, "What would you do then?" There had been a bunch of red flags with this person leading up to this point. But that was where I was like, goodbye, psycho. That's not how any healthy friendship, acquaintanceship works. Thank goodness I have enough good people in my life to recognize that. As teenagers I thought this was fun. Friends dropping by and kidnapping you, or rescuing. A bunch of good memories started this way. Spontaneous adventure. That kind of fun is not compatible with lots of adults though. Asking me to PM them by ankle. Massive red flag. How often do you actually get ankle pictures? Usually when people speak of having a lot of people in their life that somehow turned on them and now they don't speak anymore. I remember one old coworker would become super fast friends with someone. Then within weeks, yeah, we don't really talk anymore. Once. I'll accept. Hell, even twice. But when it's 4 to 5 times over, guess what? It's not everyone else. When they start talking about the tons of money I am going to be making with our new business venture in selling knives door to door. This knife will cut right through your shoes. Well, pretend this shoe is whatever you people eat. Maybe it is a shoe. Quote. People think I'm a bitch, but I'm really just blunt and tell the truth. They can't handle that. No. Chances are you're just a bitch. That and they can't handle me at my worst. Don't deserve me at my best types. If you can't handle me at my diddliest, you don't deserve me at my doodliest. I have only ever met 2 men that I'm aware of who lied to me about their ages when we met. Both of these men turned out to be extremely unpleasant and abusive people. I dated one of them and knew the GF of the other one. I think people who lie easily even over trivial things tend to have very complex psychological problems and are best steered clear of. OMG. This last boyfriend did this by 5 years to make himself look older. He lied about lots of things for months to get me to fall for him this year. Scariest part was how much he lied to himself to dodge his own issues. He honestly didn't see how much he was the cause of his own problems. I had to know out of that one really fast. He ended up stalking me for months. Actually, he's still doing it. It's been a nightmare. He even moved into my neighborhood. If someone makes our first conversation sexual when it definitely didn't need to go that way, I'm out. Just a couple days ago I met a new neighbor, and he asked if I was Irish. Red hair. I said no. He said he used to have a red beard. Now he is bald and that means he has an abundance of testosterone. I'm still silent, not knowing what to say. He carried on and said he used to work at a hospital and had a bunch of really sexually active coworkers who only dated bald men. At that point I just walked away because what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Especially what he asked me. Gross. No thanks. It took 20 seconds for you to get weird. I don't want to hear anymore. Hi, my name is underscore 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 underscore, and I'm an asshole. Literally how the shop manager introduced himself to everyone. Like it's an excuse. My older sister would constantly brag about how she is a bitch, as if that's something to admire. She is in fact completely shitty and a narcissist. I've never met any self-proclaimed bitches, or assholes, who turned out to be pretty cool. She also married a guy who introduced himself to me as I'm an asshole, and I have no filter. At least they deserve each other. Someone on here once said something on this topic that resonated with me. People who brag about being brutally honest are usually more proud of the brutality than the honesty. Let's be honest, we often see these red flags but deliberately push on to form a relationship. If the relationship goes bust, we critique ourselves for not heeding the warning signs. This is an unjust self-criticize, monsieur. I know a woman who is dating a guy who dated one of my friends. This guy is former, likely current, drug addict. alcoholic, adulterous, has cheated on every woman he's been with, including this new girl, pathological liar, I mean that in the clinical sense, not hyperbole, narcissist, again, clinical, bankrupt, over $100,000, unemployed, or if he is employed is working under the table, has been engaged 3 times, married twice and has financially ruined every woman prior. Yet when we tried to warn her, even showed her a paper trail and evidence he's been unfaithful to her, she told us to fuck off and stop bad-mouthing a good man. Honestly, we just don't want to see another person hurt. She's now trying to help him get custody of his 4 kids. That chick is going to reap a lifetime of problems and there's nothing anyone can do to change her mind. But you don't know him like I do. He can change. I can change him. Quote. When you mention something you enjoy and they immediately put it down. I enjoy going on photography walks around cities. That sounds really ***T. Okay, well, kindly get lost, Mrs. Stranger. Reading through these comments made me realize I'm an asshole. Edit. It's like, I've been told I'm an asshole by my very best friends constantly at one point of time and I just shrugged it off, thinking I'm way too charismatic for them to handle. First step in fixing a problem is acknowledging there's one. Being an asshole isn't permanent. Keep up the good work. Edit. Thanks for the silver. It's my first medal ever. The second step is not being one of those people who use "I'm an asshole" like an excuse.
Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.